Hey there, Bible in a Year family. Guess what episode it is? 150. 150th episode. That is crazy.
That's
to me
amazing.
that we have done 150 episodes. And it's funny, you guys can never tell when it's a different day for me because I pretty much wear a black shirt every day of my life. On the other hand, Bob has not changed his clothes in 4 days.
Hey, it's a week at a time, to get the most use out of them you can.
Oh, that's so funny. So we film back to back to back episodes, and we film these. We were just sitting here talking in the break. This is our 4th episode that we filmed today of this. We are overwhelmed by the whole thing. There's just so much here, and Tanner just made a great point. You're reading 1st, 2nd Chronicles, or the book of Numbers at the beginning, or the book of Leviticus. I mean, while we've made it abundantly clear how important these lessons are, there really is just something about the book of Job, isn't there, Bob? I mean, there's just something about the book of Job that beats you down and beats you down and builds you up and builds you up. And, this is a lot. We don't want to shortchange you guys in any way whatsoever. We're just going to keep plugging along with this thing. We're not going to film anymore after today. Some of you are like, what do you mean we're not going to film anymore after today? You'll see an episode tomorrow, but we're not recording. We got to take a break. I mean, we have to take a break today. You'll get an episode tomorrow, but for us in the recording, we're going to take a break today. For now, subscribe, hit the bell, make some comments. Let's do this 150th episode.
And I'll change clothes.
Yeah, you'll change clothes. All right, guys, there we go. Episode 150. Hope that made sense what I was just saying. You will have an episode tomorrow, I promise you. Bob will just be in different clothes when it happens. Anyways, we're looking at Job 17 to 22. Again, I once again have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh my goodness. I have 11 points today. And they're sandwiched in the middle of the 11 points is a huge statement. We'll get to that in a minute. Some back and forth stuff here, okay? Job has some internal wrestling in chapter 17, 3 through 5. Give me, O God, the pledge you demand. Who else will put up security for me? You've closed their minds to understanding. Therefore, you'll not let them triumph. If anyone denounces their friends for a reward, the eyes of their children will fail. Jump down to verse 10. He's now speaking back to his buddies, not to God. But come on, all of you, try again. I'll not find a wise man among you. He's really struggling here. And then 11 through 16, again, he's struggling inside. As you shift over to Job 18, 1 through 4 is how Bildad sees the situation. But then 5 through 21, honestly, is how Bildad sees Job. Just take a look there at 1 through 4. Then Bildad the Shuhite replied, when will you end these speeches? Be sensible, then we can talk. Why are we regarded as cattle and considered stupid in your sight? You who tear yourself to pieces in your anger, is the earth to be abandoned for your sake, or must the rocks be moved from their place? This is the thing that I don't think these guys ever understand. None of the pain that Job is expressing is directed toward them. And some people would debate me on this, or really even toward God. Mm-hmm. I mean, it is, but at the core of Job's being, he's not rejecting God.
Absolutely not.
What is the power? I called it emotional vomit earlier. What is the power of lament, and where can we run into a problem if we're living in a place of lament for an inappropriate amount of time?
Well, the power of it is recognizing those emotions and releasing them is a major step in the healing process. That helps us heal. When we can recognize those emotions, recognize those feelings because they're real, but holding in that place for a long period of time can actually cause more harm than good. It's not going to bring healing. It's actually going to bring more hurt. We start to wallow in those pains, and we take them in internally, and we turn them inside, and we just increase our suffering. We won't express them. We don't get them out, and so not only do we feel that emotional hurt, it can cause a whole multitude of physical hurts. I mean, it can bring about all kinds of physical aches and pains to the body, and even some serious, like heart attacks. Even just it's not good to ever try to hold grief in. We have to express it. We have to lament and let it out.
It's interesting. And look, both of us have been there with countless people. We would never tell anybody that's wrong. Don't do that. You can't express yourself in that way.
No,
for the most part. For the most part. I start getting worried for people. Like concern rises in me when we start creating shrines.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. When we hide all the... So let's take two extremes. We hide all the pictures, or we put a spotlight on the one picture. Neither one of those things are good.
No.
And I know I'm getting dangerously close to home. I realize that for a lot of people. I left the bedroom the way that it was on the day that so-and-so died.
Yeah.
How long ago did they die? 20 years ago.
Yeah. It becomes a shrine then. Hiding the pictures, we try to mask the pain to not deal with it. When we make it become a shrine, we're not embracing the pain in a proper way. We're trying to hold in that, thinking that we're going to gain some sort of benefit from it or comfort when we're not.
It's like this time continuum. If I don't let the picture be in place forever, somehow this moment will stop. I'll have to go on.
Yeah, that's
Go,
it. We're stuck in time. We're not moving forward.
Yeah, Bob. But if I move forward, that means I'll forget.
No, you won't forget.
You're not going to forget.
Absolutely.
You're not being disrespectful to the deceased.
Correct.
If you allow yourself to wake up, if the person died on, I don't even know what today is. May 26th. Is that today? May 26th. If the person died on May 26th, I have to preserve May 26th forever. No, you do not.
No.
If you move to May 27th, you're not doing a disservice to the individual on May 26th. It's all right. You can remember them on the 27th and remember them on the 28th. One of the things that I say at nearly every single funeral is we are defined by those we have lost. So if they've defined you, now pick up the mantle, pick up the baton, receive the baton. If you've been defined, now live a life defining. It's Jesus saying, greater things you've seen me do, now you do. It's the angels tapping the disciples on the shoulders after Jesus ascended into heaven and saying, he told you to meet him in Jerusalem. Why are you gazing into the clouds? You need to get to Jerusalem. Mm-hmm. It's not forgetting. It's not getting over it. Like that's one of the worst things people can say.
Absolutely.
How about this? Well, you just need to get back to normal. What? Normal? Normal's gone. It's a new normalcy.
Yeah.
It's a new normalcy.
It'll never be the same as it was because the person's gone.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
And it's just hard for people, on both sides.
Yes.
Those who have lost and those who are coming alongside. We cannot, we should not, try to force anything, and we shouldn't try to restrict anything.
Right.
We need to find that point of balance and move forward in our grief.
Move forward. That's it. We don't move on. We move forward.
That's right. We take the next step in the journey. All right. Take a look, guys, if you would. 19. Okay. And let's just start at the beginning. Then Job replied, How long will you torment me and crush me with your words? Who's he talking to? He's talking to his friends. 10 times you have now reproached me. Shamelessly you attack me. If it's true that I've gone astray, my error remains my concern alone. That's huge. Why are you worried about my guilt? It's my guilt. I need to be taking care of it. If indeed you'll exalt yourselves above me and use my humiliation against me, well, then know that God has wronged me and drawn his net around me. Well, that's just frustration there. Though I cry violence, I get no response. Though I call for help, there is no justice. Okay? So, again, dark night of the soul, seems like God's a million miles away. Then he starts all these he and his statements. He has blocked my way so I cannot pass. He has shrouded my paths in darkness. He has stripped me of my honor and removed the crown from my head. He tears me down on every side till I am gone. He uproots my hope like a tree. His anger burns against me. He counts me among his enemies. His troops advance in force. They build a siege ramp against me and encamp around my tent. He has alienated me, my family from me. My acquaintances are completely estranged from me. He, his, he, him, he, his, he. I wonder who the he is speaking of. I think we know from his context, Job is saying God. But again, like we've talked about throughout this study, it's not God necessarily that's directly doing this to Job. It's
Satan.
Yeah, an enemy has done
An
this.
enemy, yep.
So let's properly put in situations who's the wrongdoer. I just think we get that backwards sometimes, and it has a deep impact on, like how many times have people said this? Well, let's use this. Jesus, if you had only been here, our brother would not have died. I was there, I wasn't there, so on and so forth. There's all these things. Let's I get it. Sometimes you need to say stuff that you need to say, but at the same time, let's make sure everybody's in their proper position and making sure everybody is dealing with things as they need to deal with it. Again, I've told this. My mom had said to me, these were my mom's last words to me. She said, "Kevin, you're angry." I said, "I'm not angry, Mom." She said, "Yes, you are." I said, "No, I am not." And my mom said, "Just because you checked out or check out doesn't mean you're not angry." And I said, "All right, Mom, I'll see you tomorrow." Well, I didn't go back. Not because I was angry. I just didn't get a chance to go back that Friday. This conversation happened on a Thursday. And by Saturday, she was at the hospital. And by Monday, she was gone. And I think she was asking me to be in the proper place and to be properly positioned as an individual. And I think part of what Job is doing here, he's improperly positioning God. He's improperly positioning Satan. In many respects, he's improperly positioning himself. And it was when, for me personally, it's when I came in alignment that, and I'm not saying it was just me, but for me personally, when I whispered in my mom's ear what I whispered in my mom's ear minutes before her passing, I think I was properly positioned in the moment. God was allowed to be where he was allowed to be. For me, again, I'm not saying I'm not the actuator in all of this. I'm just speaking from my experience. I was where I was supposed to be. My mom was where she was supposed to be. God was where he was supposed to be. And eternal life was able to flow in that moment. Am I making sense over here, or am I talking crazy?
No, it's making sense. And I'm agreeing with what you're saying there. And one of the things I kind of see in this is when you go back to the beginning, Job, he's a righteous man. He's a blameless man. He has a good life. Everything's good. What this shows is how truly devastating grief can be, because it messes with our mind. It confuses our whole thought process. We can't think properly. We can't make good rational decisions in the midst of all that pain and grief. And we can see Job experiencing this, but even in the midst of that, he's still clinging to God. He
So
may have
true.
some wrong approach here and there, but that's part of the confusion of grief, I think. And God's big enough to handle that.
That's a big statement, the confusion of grief.
Yeah.
One of the things in my notes is 19, verses 21 and 22. Have pity on me, my friends, have pity, for the hand of God has struck me. What? I'm looking for you guys to give me pity, because God certainly isn't giving me pity right now. Now, Job.
Yeah. That's
Now, Job.
He just got a little twist on his perspective there.
Why do you pursue me as God does? Will you never get enough of my flesh? Then, oh, that my words were recorded, that they were written on the scroll.
Oh.
I wrote my Bible. They are. You know, that's what Jesus says. There won't be a single word that's spoken in silent that won't be shouted from the rooftops.
Yeah.
Whew, that'll make you watch your words a little closer. You know, you think of, okay, I'm not trying to like go down a rabbit trail on this in any way. Think of all the words that you've spoken that you think, oh my goodness, if that ever would come out, it's
will.
going to.
Yeah.
I mean, that is enormous, okay? All right, and then guys, here we go again. Jesus appearing in the scripture again. Chapter 19, 25 to 27. I know that my Redeemer lives, and that in the end, he will stand on the earth. And after my skin has been destroyed, yet in my flesh, I'll see God. I myself will see him with my own eyes, I and not another. How my heart yearns within me. I mean, what a... Well, clearly he's not delusional. But I don't know, just because of how we know this book culminates, I think he's being prophetic there. But in many respects, I'm not quite sure, because we know how the book ends. I don't think he realizes what he's saying there either. As much as he knows, he doesn't know. And as much as he is present in the moment offering these words, as much as he's being prophetic in all of that. I know that my Redeemer lives, and that in the end he'll stand on the earth. And maybe one point in between for about 33 and a half years. Guys, and think about this next statement. Like, how big is this? And I mean, this is huge. He gets it. And after my skin has been destroyed, absent from the body, present with the Lord, yet in my flesh I will see God. The dead in Christ shall rise first, and then those that remain will meet him in the air. And after my skin has been destroyed, absent from the body, present with the Lord, yet in my flesh I'll see God. The dead in Christ will rise first, and those that remain will meet him in the air. I mean, that's it. I myself will see him with my own eyes, I and not another, how my heart yearns within me. I mean, you talk about 3 verses that are just like, what? Off the charts amazing. There it is, you know? There it is.
It's so powerful verses, but like you said, you know, how God just works within us, and we don't even recognize or realize it sometimes. He may not have recognized what he was saying there or realized it, but God just comes through. I said God was always there. He never abandoned Job. So, you know, give him that thought, give him that perspective, you know, that he sees it, but still doesn't understand.
Oh my gosh.
Doesn't understand.
So let's do this, Bob. Let's turn back if we can, not backwards in terms of reading, but we're moving ahead. But let's go back to just the arrogance that is present among these 3 friends. Take a look at Job 20, verses 1 through 3. Then Zophar the Naamathite replied, "My troubled thoughts prompt me to answer because I'm greatly disturbed. I hear a rebuke that dishonors me, and my understanding inspires me to reply."
You don't know what you're talking about, so your words are causing me pain. But you better listen to me because I know the truth.
Yeah, and can't you see? I'm not the one covered in boils with loss all around. It's just this arrogance, so on and so forth. But it's interesting when you contrast that passage in 20 verses 1 through 3 with 21, 27 through 34. Look at 21, 27 through 34. I know full well what you're thinking. This is Job characterizing his friends. You know, here we've got Zophar arrogantly characterizing Job. Now we got Job characterizing his friends. I know full well what you're thinking, the schemes by which you would wrong me. You say, "Where now is the house of the great, the tents where the wicked lived?" Have you never questioned those who travel? Have you paid no regard to their accounts? That the wicked are spared from the day of calamity, that they are delivered from the day of wrath. Well, that ain't quite true. Who denounces their conduct to their face? Who repays them for what they've done? They are carried to the grave, and watch is kept over their tombs. The soil in the valley is sweet to them. Everyone follows them, and a countless throng goes before them. So how can you console me with your nonsense? Nothing is left of your answers but falsehood. Wow. I mean, he is flat flipping it around. And you think Job loses everything. Job is struck in his body. And then the people that he apparently had the closest union with, he realizes he's just not that close. And he's finding out their true colors as they're sitting there saying that his character, which has been proven, is now turned over to falsehood. Okay, so one last thing before we check out. I want everybody to see this, okay? 22, 6 through 11. This is Eliphaz's characterization of Job. You demand security from your relatives for no reason. You strip people of their clothing, leaving them naked. You gave no water to the weary, and you withheld food from the hungry. Though you were a powerful man owning land and an honored man living on it. And you sent widows away empty-handed and broke the strength of the fatherless. This is why snares are all around you, why sudden peril terrifies you, why it is so dark you cannot see, and why a flood of water covers you. So this is how Eliphaz characterizes Job, saying you are a fake, you are a fraud. And I mean, Bob, you and I both know this. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks.
Absolutely.
And you got Eliphaz here just
He's
flat
pouring it
saying,
out.
let me tell you what we really think about you.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And you take that passage in Job 22, 6 through 11, and you contrast it with God's characterization of Job's life up to that moment.
Yeah.
Chapter 1, verse 8. Then the Lord said to Satan, "Have you considered my servant Job? There's no one on earth like him. He is blameless and upright, a man who fears God and shuns evil." Same thing in chapter 2, verse 3. Then the Lord said to Satan, "Have you considered my servant Job? There's no one on earth like him. He's blameless and upright, a man who fears God and shuns evil." And he still maintains his integrity, though you incited me against him to ruin him without any reason. Eliphaz, you demanded security from your relatives for no reason. You stripped people of their clothing, leaving them naked. You gave no water to the weary. You withheld food from the hungry. though you were a powerful man owning land, an honored man living on it. You sent away widows empty-handed and broke the strength of the fatherless. That's why snares are all around you, why sudden peril terrifies you, why it is so dark you cannot see, and why a flood of water covers you. Oh, so that's what you actually thought about me all along. That's what you thought about me? And he has no recourse because he doesn't know. He is not at liberty. He doesn't have access to the conversations and the thoughts that God, and honestly, God never does tell him.
No, he doesn't get the why.
No, he never says, you know what, Job, you really are a great guy. He tells that to the friends eventually. He never tells Job. He never says, see, you proved me all along. I knew you were a great fella.
But he does get to see God's righteousness and sovereignty.
Oh, boy, he certainly does, doesn't he? It's beautiful. All right, Bob and I, our throats are done today. God bless you guys. We'll see you bright and early here tomorrow. Guess who's going to change his clothes? Yay! That guy right there.
That's about time.
I better wear a black shirt next Tuesday.
There you go.
There
you go.
Hey, guys, God bless you. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow for our next episode of Job.